Welcome to the latest edition of Access All Areas Backstage podcast. I'm at the Amsterdam Dance Event with Duncan Stutterheim, the co-founder of ID&T and the man behind numerous major dance brands and dance festivals. Duncan, you've obviously been involved in the dance music industry for years and years and years. How many years have you been coming to ADE, and how have you seen it sort of change and evolve over that period?
Yeah, I think it has been here now for 30 years. And I've been in this industry for 32 years. I can't say I was really a participant the first time. Because yesterday Gary told me in the panel that the first edition was only Melkweg, Paradiso, and the Escape. Just three clubs. That was it.
Yeah,
and all the other clubs bailed out. And then I think they're quite quick already. We had a label, so I went to meet them and to go to the music. Then it became a small summit here, and then you had to always at the Felix Mauritius at the place for everybody. So it started then already a bit. But I'm still, nearly mesmerized. Like yesterday, and see everything full. And I was counting all the events on the Friday. This one, 115 venues on this Friday.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And great for networking as well. I mean, I was quite surprised how big it is. In terms of, so must be a few thousand delegates, I guess.
I think nearly 6 are here.
Wow.
But also, it's quite a funny thing that it's 500,000 people just to party.
Yeah.
That's a different network. And then the whole industry, and then the whole DJs, and then the whole agents, but also producers. So it's a good mix. Yeah. And I think also the timing now, after the festival season, after Ibiza closings, after... Yeah, beautiful Amsterdam.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, ID&T got acquired, didn't it? Quite a few years ago now. Was it 2015?
I sold with my group. We were the first ones with SFX with Silliman in 2013.
Yeah.
So that's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I quit when SFX nearly went down. When I left, it really had a hard time, and I couldn't agree on things, so I left 2 years later. So I left in 2015. I think a year later, 2016, they went bankrupt. Then they went to a different venture capital. They did a really good job. They just went back to the management, said, how would you run it? And the management got back in place, and they ran it till beginning in COVID.
Yeah.
And then in COVID, Superstock came.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then the old guys asked me also, do you want to join us to advise us?
Yes, you're still involved.
So I have a soft advice role.
Yeah.
I said I don't want any responsibilities or board role or...
Yeah.
And it's nice. And I took a time off, really more than 5 years, so you can really take distance of your own company.
Yeah.
And otherwise it's hard, And now I can just have a blank... honest opinion about things, and I like it.
Yeah.
I just signed 3 years. Yeah, I just even signed 3 years on, and I went to Mysteryland this year, and it was amazing to be there again for a long time. And I slept in a camping, and it was nice.
Yeah, and obviously ID&T, Tomorrowland was an ID&T event, wasn't it, for years?
We sold our 50% 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And that became part of the SFX group. The Belgians kept their 50%. And then when it all collapsed, they did a good offer to buy that share back. And that was the big breakthrough, of course, for the Belgian guys. They bought 100%. Yeah, look how big it is now.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And then obviously, as part of ID&T, you had Sensation, which was touring around the world. I think went to something like 35 countries, I read.
37.
37, nearly there.
And then I think we did 117 editions.
Wow.
So, that was quite a ride and a big trip.
Yeah. But all this kind of started off with Gabbo, if I'm right. Right at the very beginning.
The first party was the final exam, and then Gabbo didn't really exist, really. That was 92, rave music. But then the music evolved quite quick. Then you already had a club scene here in 92, and then the rave scene became a bit more, the BPMs went up. But then the Gabbo wasn't there yet. But then rave became a bit more hardcore, and hardcore we still all had hairs and clothes. It was all, and then within a year, a trend just happens sometimes with clothing, shaving your head. And then it became the gabber scene. So that was 93, 94. And then Thunderdome became big with the Wizards. And we did that for a long time. We did that for about 6 years.
So what was your kind of, how did you get into doing it? I mean, did you kind of, always have an ambition to get into the music industry, the dance industry, the events industry, or was it just like, so it was more of a natural sort of...
More a bit of luck also. But primarily I got caught in school with the cheating. And after 8 years, I had to leave the school. And that year, all the clubs opened here with the IT and rave scenes. I was just partying. Did some education for adults, but then my father said after a year, maybe you should stop working.
Yeah.
So, and I like driving, so I had a courier car and I started a courier company. But within a half a year, I had 2 people working for me. I had 3 vans driving around. And with these vans, we would all go to these illegal raves. So we loved the music.
Yeah.
And then we were 20. We did a small New Year's event for only 300 people. And that was a success. And just with 8 of us. And then we did an illegal rave 3 months later, but then we got caught. All our savings gone, 20,000. And then we thought, okay, if we want to do a party, we need a venue with a license. And so we started ringing. In Amsterdam, we couldn't find anything. And then in Utrecht, there's a big convention center. And we said it's a student party for end of the exams. That's why we called it the final exam. Because we knew if you're going to call it a house party or a rave, you won't get a license.
Yeah.
And then it was a big venue. And they said, look, how many people you think? Well, about 4,000 or 5,000. But the venue was bigger. They said, okay, just hang a big cloth and then see how many people come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how. Well, we do know how. If you look back, it was the right date. It was in Utrecht, which is in our country 1 hour. The whole country is 1 hour away. So then your audience is 17 million people.
Wow, yeah.
But we never thought of that really conscious. But afterwards,
it wasn't the strategy.
No, it wasn't the strategy, but just by accident. We were guys from Amsterdam, so we thought. But when we look back now, we go, it's quite a good decision. And the date was the 20th of June, which was the end of a season, and we had a half year of promoting. In those days, there was no internet, nothing. So we had posters, flyering, schools. We went to all the record shops. We went to all the coffee shops. We invited all those. So really, not by strategy or just by common sense. And if a guy in a coffee shop is the main guy, just invite him with his friends. He will talk about. So quite a peer-to-peer way of thinking, and that's what we did with the record shops, and it just build it up, and then it sold out, 13,000 people.
Wow!
But that was the biggest rave in Holland, and that's how it started. And we were only just 20.
Yeah, amazing.
And then there was no tickets. We had to collect our ticket sales. Yeah, I'll never forget that moment. Of course, my father was already a big businessman. CMG is an English company. He was the Dutch represented, and. But then, we collected all the money from all the stores, and then we came back at home, and then just table like this, just piled with cash.
Amazing.
And he came in, and we were just looking at each other.
You're doing well, son.
This is going to be my new job. And that's how we just started. You were only 20, and then Thunderdome hit, and we were lucky with that. Then that I read somewhere you had to register your name.
Yeah.
So by coincidence, not by coincidence, just. I registered the name, and then Arcade, the big record company, they tried to steal our name and went on television with the Thunderdome.
Really?
And then we went to a lawyer, and look, this is our name. And then first they want to piss us off. Just piss off, guys. Here's 10 cents or 20 cents. Then we negotiated big hard time, and then we got a guilder. At that time, it's 50 euro cents. But then they sold 200,000, the first edition. And that was the beginning of our label, and that's how Thunderdome really became big. And at a certain point, Arcade 3 years later bought our record label for half, already for 6 million. So it went in just boom, 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 and that was the foundation of the company, really.
So it came very much from a passion for
music,
the scene, just because you loved it, essentially.
Raving. A bit raving, because I wasn't really a hipster to get into, a cool guy to get into clubs.
Yeah,
I was more a bit more football hooligan. No, I came from the rave side. Yeah.
Did you kind of have a company when you set up ID&T? Obviously, the three of you. Did you have a kind of company? If it's not too sort of, pretentious sounding almost. Did you have a kind of company philosophy at that point? Did you have a way that you wanted to work? That was just...
Oh, the T already left after the first event in the morning.
Yeah.
He didn't want to clean. And we said, look, if you leave now, you can't leave. So he left, never came back.
Yeah.
So the T, me and the I&D, Irfan and I were left.
Yeah.
It was funny, I'm having lunch with Irfan in an hour.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're friends for 46 years.
Brilliant.
So we know each other when we were 6, and we're still friends, and we still work together. And I think that a bit of the philosophy was that, the friendship, and that's still there. So our main partners throughout also Q Dance, or my right hand with ID&T was a lawyer. He was my best friend in high school. Irfan was. So I think our philosophy was rave, party hard, but also work hard. We always came in the office at 9 or 10, always. And we partied in the weekend and eat pizza, and I gained about 20 kilos. And but we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, if you're 20, 21, 22, I mean, how better job in life can you have?
Yeah. And so by the time AD&T was acquired and you kind of stepped away, really, I mean, obviously it started with just the two of you. How big was it by that point in terms of, sort of turnover and the number of staff and everything, just to get an idea of...
In 2013?
Yeah.
About 140 million turnover. About 120 people full-time.
So what do you put that success down to? Because obviously you started off with, as you say, you cared about this stuff, you cared about the music, you cared, it was obviously coming from a good place and there's a lot of energy behind it and youthful ambition and drive. But what would you say if it's not too difficult to question or I'm simplifying it too much, but what do you think were the kind of key thing behind the company's evolution and success? Because obviously that's a massive growth.
I thought I had to give a keynote yesterday, so I wrote a speech, but it was a Q&A, so
yeah, I
got my keynote in my pocket now. So I had to think about these things. What do I want to say? And
yeah,
and the big thing for me was this week at the left side in our country, Alda, a big company, went bankrupt, and at the right, why was our company so successful then? Why? And I came down to a few points, and as were we've always been really working hard. We were open and honest. And Mysteryland nearly went bankrupt in '94. We lost 800,000. We didn't have the money, but we knew we were selling the records. But that takes a year, 1.5 years when the money comes in. But we were honest to those people who still owed us their money, and we said, look, we don't have it now. Can you give us a discount? We were 22, and they went, oh, okay, yeah. So they gave us a deal, 50% or 40, and we could pay it in 2 years, and that's how we saved Mysteryland. And if you look back, what would have happened if we would have said, let it go bankrupt? We have a separate LTD. No, and we were just open, honest. Look, can we pay the bill later? And so I think that was important.
Yeah.
Quality. We always had a group of dimension of who's responsible for what, and that's really your responsibility. And on a friend base, really hard. I mean, it wasn't 9 to 5, and we could really, sometimes even shout to each other, go, "What the fuck are you doing, man? How could you forget this?" Or blah. So it was really if you play like a soccer team, on the field, you're always come on, that's really on top of the game. We were ambitious also.
Yeah,
we were ambitious and on top of the game and shouting at each other, but also afterwards having a beer together, and so we went really through walls.
Yeah,
but that kept on going. So we just started small, and then at a certain point, you're making these big deals, or you're going to the next. Yeah, it's crazy, of course, but we never. I think we also were a bit down to earth. Maybe it's Dutch, maybe it's from how we are. It never, of course, we did some crazy things and we partied. But in the end, maybe my father was a businessman. Maybe that was also sort of a example. I also want to achieve something.
What did he think? Because obviously, it's a totally different kind of business. But obviously, saw that table full of cash.
Yeah, well, that was a really good beginning.
That was a pretty good beginning. Yeah. So, was he always kind of supportive? Did he advise you in any way? Was that helpful?
Of course. He, at a certain point, he was the CEO of the year here in the Netherlands, and at a point, 30,000 people staff, CMG, and big British and Dutch company. But one thing nagged him. and it wasn't his company. So he became very wealthy, and he had a great success. But the small thing, he always said, it wasn't my company.
Yeah.
So Duncan never worked for the boss. And I think that was something when I was 20 and 21, always remember. I don't know. For me, it's so natural to be an entrepreneur and work for myself and with my friends. I changed my way of working, being 80% owner, went bankrupt nearly with radio station. Then changed to partnerships. But to be an entrepreneur and being self-independent was very important for us.
What would sort of advice would you give, if it's possible, really? I mean, in terms of, I'm thinking to kind of festival operators or big dance event operators kind of now, because we've had sort of being a, live music industry journalist kind of writing up closure after closure in the festival scene in the UK. There's been something like 65, maybe a bit more than that this year, which is concerning. So it's a difficult market, but what would you say, what sort of advice would you give to someone that's kind of considering either launching a festival or trying to push it to the next level at this point?
I think there's an opportunity because, the big companies are there, and what we said, we'll talk later about it, but the whole consolidation and but the one thing they've got against them is their whole machine, the whole overhead, the whole cost of existing. As if you're a small operator and you're doing it with like how we started, and you're with 3 friends or 4 friends, you don't have this big CFO yet, you don't have big wages, you don't pay your wage. Just really be in the beginning really careful with your costs. Don't take a lease car, just rent a small car, just be careful in the beginning. And I think these are the times now also where price is going to be interesting. Pricing is really it's really getting expensive. Cost of living, inflation, wages, production costs. So prices is going to be a thing. So what can we put against that is a cheaper price. But you can only give a cheaper price if you come up with a different concept. If you have low costs, be creative. To build a stage from branches, you can do that very cheap with hand labor. You don't all have to put a 3D laser. I think just be different.
Yeah.
Just be different, be creative. I think the soul of a festival is very important. For who are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Everybody, of course, if you have these big festivals and the big fees and the big stages, if you just begin, you can't just go. No, that's a long way to go.
Yeah.
But begin. And then you could grow. And every festival, every Tomorrowland or Mysteryland, or it doesn't matter which one, they all started once. Took us 10 years with Tomorrowland to make some money. First 10 years, wow. We lost. Well, festivals are long. It's not a quick buck. No. We never had a festival or from the first edition where you're going to make money. So it's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years that you're going to get. But if you have a low cost, then you can afford to have 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then you go from 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, and then when the audience is right and when the soul is right, then you at a certain point it goes from 8,000 to 15.
Yeah,
and then you go, oh, well, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Tomorrowland also, where the big breakthrough was the record with the movie, with David Guetta, became a hit, boom, viral. You can't predict those things. You can want it and you can try, but then it happened. And but I think I always believe it's in exciting times. People always are going out. People will always go out. Young people like to go out. But I think also now in these days, maybe older people. I really miss England has a few of them, but I really miss in this country a festival where I can go with my kids and be a bit more relaxed and enjoy being in nature. And this country is really about the people to 30.
Really?
Yeah, it's really strange. We have only 1 or 2, but like in England, into the wilderness or, we don't have that stuff.
Yeah,
So that would be an advice for me to have somebody on holiday list now, but it is. I think there's always an opportunity.
Yeah. And obviously you've kind of taken, a relatively small event, although you were, 13,000 or whatever, pretty successful straight, very early on. But you've obviously taken your events from big clubs to stadiums to, to big venues with huge numbers in the audience. So how do you kind of maintain the soul and the identity and the kind of original creative vision for an event as you scale it right up to be that sort of huge, big?
Well, association, the first one was in the Amsterdam, now it's the Johan Cruyff Arena, but that was the first one. So our vision there was to be the biggest club on earth and the biggest spectacle.
Yeah.
So that was, we never... Yeah, and I think with Mysteryland, the first edition, or Tomorrowland, those are always that from the beginning on set up for 20,000 people. That was the soul. And then it grew to 50, 60,000 each day. But we had one festival, Welcome to the Future, which was always about what is the new house techno music of tomorrow. That changed a bit. So that was always a festival between 10, 15. And then we went to 25. And then it became a different festival. So I think there are some, but it's I do understand your question. I said in the office, why don't we keep that one at 15? And okay, we don't make a lot of money on it, but if we like to do it, and just keep it at 15.
Yeah,
then it holds a certain feeling and a sort of soul. But what I said, the other bigger ones, they were set up as big.
Yeah, sure. They designed that way.
There was.
And how do you feel that, I mean, it's a bit of a difficult question again, but with the consolidation of the industry, you've got kind of the Superstructs and Live Nation and AEG to, I guess, a lesser extent, but major player who are quite dominant in the market. So, in the UK, there's not that many big independents left, but the ones that are left are things like Green Man that sells out every year, has done for a long time. Purely independent, WOMAD, but there's really just a kind of handful now. And I know Freddie Fellows, who's sort of been on this podcast, he set up the Secret Garden Party, and he kind of went out this year by burning the main stage down as a bit of a statement. So I'm just wondering what your perspective is in the way that the festivals are evolving, what the future of festivals kind of are in a sort of against that landscape of major players kind of dominating huge swathes of the industry.
Yeah, I think in this country we have so many festivals. I think we have one of them. I think England also is, of course, a very big country, but this country also, we have sometimes on a Saturday, maybe 25 festivals in one day, It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but the well-known, the big ones who are on television, the Mysteryland, or the bigger ones, those are part of the big groups. I think this is still a very big... And you don't really see them, but every village has its own festival. And those festivals are also 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. I think the bigger ones will be consolidated, and the big DJ lineups, that's going to be but even then, also the agents, they also like to play and give them sometimes to independents, don't give too much power to the big ones. And so it's always it's a bit of a push and a pull with everyone. Because nobody wants the dominance of one. The agents like to have a few because then they can ask more for the DJ. And some DJs also like to help some. That's why some DJs play small clubs for the name, for the independence, for the coolness. So if you have a new nice festival in Holland, we have No Art, which is a brother of the Another. They're doing very well now. And just in 2 years' time, they went from 3,000 people, they went to 15,000 people.
Great. Yeah.
And those are totally independent, small company.
Yeah.
So I think there will always be room. I don't think that you can buy all. I mean, Live Nation also tried a lot to buy, but they didn't. The DNA of dance music wasn't really good in the Netherlands. I mean, EDC, of course, is a great brand. But it was hard for them to get into this electronic market in Holland.
Do you think there's, I've been to so many conferences and you've had agents talking and promoters talking and sort of battling it out over artist fees. At a time when independent festivals, I suppose, are struggling somewhat, do you feel that it would be mindful or wise of agents to kind of encourage their acts to potentially be a bit more sensitive to an independent promoter than they would? I mean, reality is probably very different to what I'm suggesting here. But but if it gets to the situation where there are just major players,
it was my big change in my feeling of the industry was for me the agents coming in. It was a really big moment for me when William Morris came in and how they treated us and how they talked to us and how they negotiated and hard. They do a very good job for the DJs. That's their job. and they're really good. They're really good in their job, and they've been doing it for 50 years. I don't know how long.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they won't. And I understand. I mean, it's we're all pitching it sometimes at those some 50 or 100. But I mean, there are so many DJs. I think if you're really in that league, you can't really afford the big league. Just change your concept into. There are a lot of festivals here also who are really Dekmantel or others. There's some really, they don't need those big names. And artists do like to play. I think that's also sometimes a good pull. If you have a festival where people would like to play, that an artist says, look, I want to be there. I want to play that. It's good for my image, and I like the crowd, or I like how it is. I think that is a balance. But if they see you have 50,000 people, 60,000 people, yeah, then it's also a money and a number thing.
Yeah.
And where at the end, I also don't know. But the whole world is bidding at the same DJ sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
which isn't going to drive down the price.
But yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So now these days, obviously, you've kind of still, obviously, as you mentioned earlier on, a kind of soft advisory role, ID&T, but you've kind of moved very much over to sort of venues, really.
Yeah.
You're involved in and operate some really interesting buildings in Amsterdam. But instead of me sort of asking you about those particular buildings, can you just talk me through which ones that you're looking after? Because I know my pronunciation would be absolutely awful on these. But you've got a different shapes.
The first one the reason was when I got the money from ID&T, I thought I do want to. I'm still young. I'm 44 at that point. So I have room enough for a new career. What am I going to do? I wasn't a stock exchange guy, and I'm not an investor. And then I thought, okay, if I do real estate, but then let's do real estate, which is really close to my heart and close to what I know. I'm not going to buy a shopping mall or something, or some houses, or
Yeah.
But then, the first building we could buy, and that was quite a crazy, funny thing, was a rave location, the Elementenstraat warehouse, where we, as 17-year-olds, were raving the first time.
Oh, lovely.
That building came on the market.
Yeah, wow.
And then we talked to the government, and then the mayor said, look, I want to support you guys because we want to have more clubs outside of Amsterdam and not in the whole, at the canal area.
Yeah, sure.
So we got a license to extend it from 1,000 to 3,000 people. So it became really a warehouse. And funny wise, also we built now the whole ID&T offices above, and we have a shop downstairs, and it's a huge building. So that was my first building, also with partners. Then the second one was the Adam Tower. Well, that was quite,
it's a very cool looking
impressive. And funny also was my partners didn't want to join me because we just lost quite some money with the radio station, and we were focusing on events. But I bailed out. I learned one lesson. Okay, don't put 100% of your money in a thing, which is risky. So I put 1/3 of my money. And then, it turned out after 2-3 years in a great success. And Amsterdam North is like Brooklyn, how it was 10 years ago. There was nothing at that side of the water. Just a few houses. And now it's if you look how many events and restaurants, and it's really.
I was there last night and it was absolutely buzzing. And I've never really been here.
No,
it's only, transformed.
That's only 10 years. And our building is one brick of the quite a brick. But literally, I'm really proud how that building turned out. And with a 24-hour license, we have a nightclub downstairs, upstairs, the loft. It's crazy. We have 25 events these days, just going nearly non-stop. And we turn on the lights in yellow, and it's a landmark. And then I got the opportunity to get the Westergasfabriek area. Those are 20 buildings with the gashouders, very famous of Awakenings. And so with a group of 14 guys from Amsterdam, we bought that area and we're transforming that now. We have it 5 years into a cultural village.
Excellent.
With a museum, with a cinema, with a theater. And our biggest thing now at the moment is we're going to transform refurbish the gashouder. We're going to keep it as it is. But we needed dressing rooms. I mean, we did some concerts and some tests. And they turned out really well. Royce and Murphy was there. She loved it. Underworld played it 4 times. They said, can we please come back? And
excellent.
So it was really, an amazing venue. But we always had to rent out the wardrobe, and we had to, there was no backstage. And then the architect came with one brilliant idea, because some ideas to extend it outside weren't allowed because it was a monument. And then he came, why don't we dig underneath? And everybody looked at him going, that's the idea. And now we're going to dig. So the license is there now. And we're going to start in February. And then we're going to dig down, just take out the whole floor. And then just build the same area downstairs. And that's going to be the backstage, the wardrobes, the bars, the whole shebang. Yeah. And then you walk downstairs and then you walk up into the venue.
Lovely, yeah. What sort of capacity is that?
4,000.
Okay, yeah.
So it's between Ava's Live where we have Paradiso.
Yeah.
But Paradiso's packed. Yeah.
And what's your kind of ambition with that side of, well, it's a lot, but you're doing a lot already, but it's all very much sort of in and around
Well,
Amsterdam.
I made a joke, instead of visiting those 37 countries with Sensation and being a high mile flyer, I don't know, just take my bike and drive around Amsterdam. And I do really enjoy it. It was among those 25 years of events. It was also part of the reason why I sold. I was quite tired. It was a double life, and partying, and 60 events a year, and flying, and have a family, 3 kids.
Exhausting.
Yeah, I was, and then I took really 5 years off, stopped drinking 5 years, just really took a big break.
Yeah.
And then this really fitted into a different attitude, different lifestyle. I really felt my body slow down a bit. But now I'm really also enjoying it, and also feeling being part of the city and bringing something beautiful and nice, and really have a vision with the Westergast to really say no to offices, yes to a theater, and now everybody's they're really building the whole village, and
that's going to enhance the whole city.
That's really cool.
With that. That's brilliant. This might sound a bit of a ridiculous question, but should sort of OVG and ASM Global sort of be watching you carefully? Do you have ambitions to kind of expand beyond Amsterdam and start building?
No, I'm so connected to this city, and I love what I do, and I'm 53 now, and I got at least 5-7 years to go at the Westergast, and we want to be an independent concert venue also. So no Live Nation. Of course, Live Nation is very important for us. They gave us a lot of acts, but we want to be an independent. Everybody can rent it. Not only concerts, ook the concertgebouw, the orchestra, or a really cool exhibition of photos, and we do it ourselves. So that's a small company, only 15 people.
Yeah,
but I like to do those things. And the tower we do ourselves. No, I don't think. No, I'm happy. Sometimes what is enough in what sense? And I realize now that enough is to put more quality and more time into the. I think it also needed. It's never finished. Also, the tower now. The beginning was amazing, but now after 7 years, now the restaurant is doing a bit less, and there's always got something going on.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I just wanted to kind of get back to that question earlier on about how, advice you give to people. It strikes me that obviously promoting is such a risky business. Now you're sort of moved into venues, but there's always, always has been a lot of risk in that world. So do you just feel as an entrepreneur, as someone that's taken a lot of risk, that's lost money, that's made lots of money, what's kind of driven you and kept you kind of going? Because that seems for a lot of people, they'd rather just sort of withdraw from that level of risk and just take the easy path. But you've never really taken the easy path.
The energy, I came to Mysteryland and I was there on a Friday, and to feel, that is still special about this this job or industry, or how you would like to call it. The happiness, the joy, the energy of the people. And of course, if somebody goes to a museum in our place and I see people walking, and it's nice, but it's a bit different feeling.
It's not the same kind of buzz.
No, it's like Charlotte de Witt this year at Mysteryland closing was really, whoa. I was, to see 50,000 people really dig in together going, whoa. That keeps very special. But also what I said yesterday evening, to have 150 people, a small audience, seeing him perform. I think that energy of people talking to each other, meet each other, diversity on the dance floor together, was always very important for us, because it's always about joy. It's always about fun. The electronic scene is quite a really cool scene. It's always... a lot of joy, a lot of sex, a lot of talk, but it's that's what nightlife and a festival business is.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's about sort of freedom and, as you say, joy.
Yeah. Sometimes hedonism or not, or freedom. Yeah, but I think that point of freedom is in everybody's life important. Or to go with your friends, to go with your wife, to go by yourself, even if you want. But you always meet some people and talk to people, and everybody's in the same state. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's saved up their time, their money to really spend that moment. I think that's why festivals are very special.
Yeah.
You really feel the energy coming so months and months, and then it explodes like a.
Yeah. And
that's our job then to canalize that, and that is a job, and to create shows and end shows and laser show and but also the logistics side and gifts that come to food or with Mysteryland bringing some surprises where people go wow, or that is, it's not just. No, that's why you have more than 100 people in the office working. No, and I emphasize always, that's also a counterpart for me against the whole VC business now. Please put those creative people in the center and in the middle. That's why the people buy the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's why it's not about...
That's why they've been successful in the first place.
Yeah, we always said creative and product is the first place. Then sell out, and if you sell out, the success will follow. But not the numbers first, or not the...
Yeah.
Just first the product. And if the product needs a bit more money or a bit more attention, just put it in.
Yeah.
And then people will feel that.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me. It's been really interesting.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.